The Weaver and the Star Maiden. In a quiet village nestled between emerald hills and a winding river, there lived a young weaver named Elian. At 24 years old, Elian was known for his gentle spirit and skilled hands. His eyes were the color of warm hazel, and his dark, curly hair often fell into his face as he worked at his loom. Elian's family was poor, their small cottage barely holding against the winter winds. His mother, Naila, was frail and could no longer spin wool, and his younger sister, Tilda, was too young to take on heavy work. Elian toiled day and night, weaving blankets and scarves, which he sold at the village market to keep his family fed. Despite their hardships, Elian's heart was light. He found joy in the rhythm of his loom and the vibrant patterns he created, each thread telling a story of hope. He dreamed of one day owning a shop filled with his creations, a place where he could share his craft with the world. In the same village lived a young woman named Serafina, who was 21 and known as the Star Maiden for her radiant beauty and kindness. Serafina had eyes like the twilight sky, deep violet and sparkling, and her silver-blonde hair shimmered under the sun. Her father, Lord Baron, was the wealthiest man in the region, owning vast orchards and a grand manor atop the highest hill. Serafina had every luxury, silk gowns, jeweled combs, and servants at her call, but her heart yearned for something more. She longed for a life of purpose, where she could help those in need and find a love that saw beyond her wealth. One crisp autumn morning, Serafina wandered into the village market, her cloak hiding her fine clothes. She stopped at Elian's stall, drawn by the intricate patterns of his woven shawls. "These are beautiful," she said, her voice soft as she traced a design of interlocking vines. "Did you make them yourself?" Elian looked up, startled by her gentle tone. "Yes, I did," he replied with a shy smile. "Each one takes days, but I love the work. Would you like one? They're warm, perfect for the coming winter." Serafina bought a shawl, though she had no need for it. She returned the next day and the day after, each time lingering longer to talk with Elian. They spoke of small things at first, the weather, the harvest, but soon their conversations deepened. Elian shared stories of his childhood, of racing through the fields with his sister, while Serafina confessed her loneliness despite her wealth. "I want to do something meaningful," she said one evening as they sat by the river, the market long closed. "I want to help people, not just live in a gilded cage." Elian nodded, his heart swelling. "I dream of a shop, a place where my work can bring comfort to others, but it feels so far away." As weeks turned to months, Elian and Serafina grew inseparable. They met in secret, away from the prying eyes of the village, sharing dreams under starlit skies. One moonlit night, Elian took her hand and said, "Serafina, you are my light in the darkness. I love you not for what you have, but for who you are." Tears glistened in Serafina's eyes. "And I love you, Elian, for your kindness and your strength. You make me feel alive." But their love was not to remain hidden. Lord Baron's spies whispered of Serafina's visits to the market, and one stormy evening he confronted her in the manor's grand hall. "A weaver!" he roared, his face red with fury. "You, my daughter, consorting with a pauper? You will marry Lord Torrin of Highville, a man of status and wealth, not some threadbare dreamer." Serafina stood tall, her voice steady. "Father, I love Elian. He is honest and good, worth more than all your gold." Lord Baron's eyes narrowed. "If you choose him, you will lose everything, your title, your inheritance, your home. I will not allow this disgrace." Serafina fled to Elian's cottage that night, rain soaking her cloak. She found him mending a torn blanket, his hands steady despite his worry. "My father forbids us," she said, her voice breaking. "He wants me to marry another, but I cannot. I love you, Elian." Elian's heart ached. "I love you too, Serafina, but I have nothing to offer you. My family is starving, my mother is ill, and I can barely afford her medicine. How can I ask you to share this life?" Serafina took his hands. "I don't need riches, I need you. We can build a life together, no matter how hard it is." But Lord Baron's wrath was relentless. He spread word through the village that anyone who bought from Elian would face his displeasure. The market stall, once bustling, grew quiet. Elian's earnings dwindled, and his mother's health worsened. Tilda, only 12, tried to help by gathering firewood, but it was not enough. Elian worked until his fingers bled, weaving late into the night, but the village turned away, fearing Lord Baron's power. One evening, Seraphina arrived at the cottage with a small bundle. "I've brought medicine for your mother," she said, handing Elian a vial she'd bought with her own jewels. "And I've spoken to my father again. He won't listen, but I won't give up." Elian shook his head, his voice heavy. "Seraphina, you deserve better than this struggle. I can't let you sacrifice everything for me." "I'm not sacrificing," she replied fiercely. "I'm choosing love over fear." Lord Baron, however, was unyielding. He arranged Seraphina's betrothal to Lord Torrin, a cold man whose wealth matched his ambition. When Seraphina refused, Baron confined her to the manor, her windows barred and her door guarded. She wept for Elian, for the life they dreamed of, but her spirit remained unbroken. Meanwhile, Elian's world crumbled. His mother's illness worsened, and the local healer demanded payment he couldn't afford. Desperate, he traveled to a neighboring town, seeking work as a laborer. The pay was meager, but he saved every coin, determined to keep his family alive. Each night, he thought of Seraphina, her laughter a distant memory that kept him going. One winter night, as snow blanketed the village, Seraphina found a way to escape. A sympathetic maid left a window unlatched, and Seraphina climbed down, her heart pounding. She ran to Elian's cottage, only to find it empty. Tilda told her Elian was still in the neighboring town, working. Seraphina waited, shivering, until he returned at dawn, his face gaunt with exhaustion. "Seraphina," he gasped, dropping his worn satchel. "How did you—" "I couldn't stay away," she said, throwing her arms around him. "Let's leave this place, Elian. We'll start anew together." Elian hesitated, torn between love and duty. "My family needs me. I can't abandon them." "Then we'll take them with us," Seraphina said. "Tilda, your mother, will care for them together." With little more than their courage, they gathered Leila and Tilda and left under cover of darkness. They traveled to a distant town, far from Lord Baron's reach, where no one knew their names. There, Elian found work as a weaver's apprentice, and Seraphina took up sewing, her nimble fingers earning them a modest income. Leila's health slowly improved with proper care, and Tilda began learning the weaver's trade, her laughter filling their small, rented room. Life was grueling. Some days they had only bread and thin soup, and the winters were harsh. But Elian and Seraphina faced each challenge together, their love a steady flame. Elian's skill grew, and his woven tapestries began to draw attention. A merchant offered to sell his work in larger markets, and slowly their fortunes turned. Years later, Elian opened a small shop, its shelves lined with his and Tilda's creations. Seraphina managed the books, her kindness drawing customers from far and wide. They built a simple home, where Leila spent her days telling stories to the village children. Their life was not lavish, but it was rich with love and purpose. One spring day, a carriage rolled into town. Lord Baron stepped out, his face lined with age and regret. He had heard of his daughter's new life and come to see it for himself. Standing in the shop, surrounded by Elian's vibrant tapestries, he saw Seraphina's radiant smile and knew he had been wrong. "Seraphina," he said, his voice trembling, "I was blind. Your happiness is all I should have cared for. Can you forgive me?" Seraphina embraced him, tears in her eyes. "Father, I forgave you long ago. This is my home now, with Elian and our family." Elian stepped forward, offering a hand. "You're welcome here, Lord Baron. We've built this together." Baron stayed for a week, learning of their struggles and triumphs. When he left, he carried one of Elian's tapestries, a gift from his daughter. Elian and Seraphina continued their work, their shop a beacon of hope in the town. They faced every hardship with unwavering love, proving that true devotion could weave a life stronger than any thread. And so, Elian the weaver and Seraphina the star maiden lived joyfully, their love a tapestry that told a story of courage, sacrifice, and unbreakable bonds.